Let me introduce you to the Tarahumara, natively known as Rarámuri, the running people. They're an indigenous group of people who live in Chihuahua, Mexico, specifically here in the Copper Canyons or Sierra Tarahumara. It's larger and deeper than the Grand Canyon, and it sits at an altitude of 1,800 feet at the lowest point and 8,300 feet at its highest point. The Rarámuri wear thin sandals made from leather and tire rubber, bright blouses and matching headbands, and they're famous for running hundreds of kilometers through these rough terrains with perfect form. They are incredible athletes, some of the fittest people in the world, but what makes them truly extraordinary in my opinion isn't only how far and how fast they can run, but just how they run. They run with joy, with laughter, and community, and without a sole focus on records, medals, or beating each other. This video isn't just about endurance or running, it's about what the Tarahumara can teach us about life, both professionally and within our communities. But before we get there, let's learn more about the Tarahumara running culture. And there's no better place to start than their infamous running games. There's a men's version and a women's version of these legendary community-wide events, and they've proclaimed them as the heart and soul of their culture. The races are put together by a race organizer who picks a course, preferably an oval-shaped course about 5 kilometers long, where they run laps in teams while kicking a wooden ball throughout the course. Just imagine how tough this would be. The courses are always through natural, uneven terrain in the canyon. The men's races range from about 25 kilometers to 150 kilometers, and the women's races are about 25 to 45 kilometers long. Their staggering stamina also bleeds into their dance, which is often a prelude to those races I just talked about. And they usually last several hours as they prepare their legs for the race. Nothing like a couple hours of dance to warm up for a full day of running. Other forms of Tarahumara dance last over 12 hours, and people can join in and drop out as they please, but the leader must stay there the entire 12 hours. But it's not just about games. Endurance activities are their way of life. Despite being just as competitive, there is little room for the Western notion of individual glory in the Tarahumara running culture. So they haven't competed in many internationally recognized races, until the Leadville Trail 100, where they were persuaded to join because they would receive corn and beans during a dry winter where food wasn't as readily available. It wasn't surprising that they found success. They beat course records and won a lot of the races. But what was surprising, however, was how they did it. Not just with grit and endurance, but with joy. Glee and determination are usually antagonistic emotions, yet the Tarahumara were brimming with both at once, as if running to the death made them feel more alive. This obviously sparked curiosity. People wanted to learn their secret, but whenever the Tarahumara were asked how they trained for running races, they mostly looked confused and puzzled. No adult Tarahumara trains in the Western sense to improve their running skills. Granted, their endurance partly comes from their hard work farming and hunting, but a lot of it also comes from what they choose to do. Things like dance, games, and traveling long distances on foot just to hang out with a friend. Essentially, they embrace these endurance activities for pleasure, as opposed to viewing it strictly as training. And of course, not all of them are the best at running, but let's just focus on the real secret of the best Tarahumara runners. They'd never forgotten what it felt like to love running. So let's move on to little old me for a little bit. I describe myself as an amateur professional athlete, and what that means is I'm someone who trains hard, takes it seriously, but isn't anywhere near good enough to get paid to run. Now, I've been training for a marathon for the past 7 months.
Feeling good. 2.5k into a run.
Unfortunately, I only started reading Born to Run and learning about the Tarahumara about 2 weeks before the race. So a lot of my training was just me forcing myself to go for a run. But I guess better late than never, I still wanted to see if I could apply some of this Tarahumara wisdom to the rest of my training and the race and learn to enjoy it a little bit more. So I'm about 9 days away from running a marathon and about halfway through Born to Run. And I've just reached a point in the book where they're talking about how the best runners just absolutely love to run and go out and enjoy their run each time. And that's what I tried to focus on my run today. So I ignored the watch, ignored the statistics, and just focused on enjoying the run. And it turned out really well. It was one of the most enjoyable runs I've been on, and one of the fastest I've been on too. So I think I'm gonna try and incorporate that mindset into the marathon and see how it goes. On race day, seeing familiar faces in the crowd and running alongside a couple of guys who kept the mood positive helped me stay focused on enjoying it, which oddly enough made me feel even more determined.
Let's go, Charlie! Let's go! Come on, let's go, let's go! Killing it, man.
And although I fell off a bit at the end, I was having fun and pushing myself as hard as I've ever done. And that mindset actually worked. Determination and enjoyment can and should go hand in hand. And that realization was cemented as I came in to the finish a couple minutes ahead of my goal time. But not everyone runs, and I want this video to be more than just about running. I'm interested in how these Tarahumara values that are so efficient for running can apply to life in general. And this is where I'm extrapolating a little bit, so the next part is a bit more opinionated and somewhat idealistic, but I still think it's valuable. I've divided it into two parts: professional success and community. In modern work culture, progress is often driven by competition. We're constantly comparing ourselves to others, and this can fuel innovation and success, but it also fuels stress and burnout, and a sense of never being enough sometimes. Essentially, it's often determination without enjoyment. So we're missing one side to the scale. And of course, we need goals and deadlines, but what if we balance that with more connection and joy in the work? The Tarahumara show us a different way. They often run without clocks and sometimes don't even chase times. They run for joy, rhythm, and connection before being competitive. Here's another quote from Born to Run. The reason we race isn't so much to beat each other, but to be with each other. And what if we approach work the same way, focusing less on external markers and more on the experience itself, especially the experience of working with other people? Aristotle put it simply, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. And when we enjoy the process, we often do better work. When we measure success by effort and personal growth, as well as by external outcomes, because we definitely need those still, we create a more sustainable, fulfilling way to live and work. It's not about lowering ambition, but about shifting focus from comparison to connection, from pressure to purpose, and balancing determination and enjoyment. Another aspect of life is the relationships we have and the community we build. And I want to draw on the manner in which the Tarahumara races are structured and experienced. As we just talked about, they're primarily about creating a communal experience, as opposed to cutthroat contests. Everyone pushes each other forward and the whole community benefits. That same spirit exists in some of our own running events, especially marathons. Most people don't run to win. They run to finish, to support others, to be a part of something bigger. And this relates closely to something called an abundance mindset. The belief that success isn't a limited resource, and that helping others doesn't cost you, it actually lifts you too. To carry on using running as a metaphor, picture a group of runners working together, pacing, encouraging, feeding off each other's energy. Everyone in that group would run better. Now compare that to someone running solo, guarded, unwilling to help, and therefore not getting anything in return. They may be infinitely determined, but they may also burn out sooner because they are missing the enjoyment of the run and the support that comes when you yourself support too. And this can be taken into so many contexts. An actor looking for auditions, a coffee shop attracting clients, a young football player trying to make it pro. They'd all benefit from leading with an abundance mindset. An abundant person understands that giving doesn't deplete your resources, it expands them. Sharing your time, talents, or possessions creates a ripple effect of positivity. And of course, in reality, scarcity is real. Not everyone can get every opportunity, but especially within our communities, we can choose to lead with generosity and abundance. We can create spaces where effort is shared, support is mutual, and success is collective. Now, I know a lot of these ideas and values might sound idealistic, and they probably are, at least to some extent. The Tarahumara I talk about here live in one of the most remote parts of the world, and the accounts are based mostly on observations from before 2009. Since then, both the Copper Canyons and the wider world have changed. Still, I hope this video provides room for thought and consideration about how these values can be applied in certain situations and contexts. And at the very least, I think these are meaningful values worth just keeping in the back of our mind. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.